Welcome back, guys. So I've been getting many requests to continue reading from Redemption Song, the book written by a Jamaican author, Lynda Edwards. And I have had permission from her that I can read some more. I can't read the whole book because, of course, the whole objective to this is to promote her work so that perhaps people will buy her book and they will enjoy the whole book in its entirety. The book is available on Amazon and any popular online bookstores, but I'm going to continue reading from where I left off in my last video. So if you didn't see that, I'm going to link it at the end of this one so you can go back and watch it so that you can read them in order, okay? I didn't read the whole of chapter 1, so I'm going to pick up from where I left off and probably read the rest of chapter 1 and chapter 2 for you guys now, okay? So again, this is Redemption Songs by a Jamaican author, Lynda Edwards, okay? So I'm going to read the last sentence that I read before and then take it from there. I could not bear the thought of going back there and having to go through our lives, deciding what to keep and what to throw away. I was not ready to face that yet. Maybe later, but not now. Several hours went by as I was watching the city go about its business. Everyone below seemed to have somewhere to go, something they had to be doing. The hustle and bustle of Kingston had always excited me. It was a city that never seemed to stop, and I loved that. Now I just felt completely disconnected from everything I had once known. I was no closer to finding the answers I needed. I heard the front door open and knew my period of reflection, such as it was, had come to an end. I looked over at Beth's son Timothy as he walked towards me. It was heartbreaking to see a young boy look like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. "Hey kiddo, what's going on?" I asked gently and reached for his hand. "Dad's being unreasonable and Mom is trying to reason with him." He smiled at me ruefully. I smiled back at him. "Some marriages can be very hard," I replied, never sure what to say in situations like this. "Yours wasn't. I never saw you and Uncle Thomas fight. I never heard you say anything bad about each other. We sometimes argued, not very often. We never fought, that is true. And no, we did not say anything bad about each other. There was nothing bad to say. Your uncle always had my back and was a good man. I would not have married him if he wasn't." "I miss him," Tim said as he wearily put his head on my shoulder. "I know. I miss him too." I didn't know what else to say. Thomas would have known what to say to Timmy, but I did not. I just held his hand. "What are you doing out here?" he asked, already bored with sitting around pondering life's woes. The optimism of youth wasn't missing in this one. "Just sitting here and watching." He thought that was funny. "Mom says that's all you do is sit around and watch life pass you by." "Interesting insight coming from your mother." I regretted saying it the minute the words left my mouth, but Beth knew how to push my buttons. She could be trying to figure out the mess that was her life, not criticizing how I was living or not living mine. But it seemed everyone had an opinion on how I should be living my life. I tried to change the subject. "Well, it's not often I get to spend time with my favorite cousin." Due to Beth's petty jealousies and insecurities constantly getting in the way, Thomas and I had always had a special bond with Timmy, and we had tried to spend as much time with him as his mother would allow. Beth is a firm believer in using any weapon available to her, including her son. What she was too wrapped up in herself to realize is that it hurt Timmy more than it hurt Thomas or me. Maybe she didn't realize it and didn't care. When someone is that selfish and self-involved, it's hard to understand their motivations. My mother and aunts wanted her to divorce her husband, but I didn't. Strangely enough, they were perfectly suited for each other and deserved the hell of a life they had created together. The only casualty was this darling boy who did not deserve to get caught in their dysfunction. As Thomas used to say, they're always innocent bystanders that will get hurt in any conflict. "He's going to have dinner with us tonight," my Aunt Julie announced as she entered. "Time to wash up for dinner, darling." Her smile was gentle as we both watched him disappear into the apartment. "Your cousin seems determined to live her own version of Dante's Inferno and take us all along for the ride." Aunt Julie's smile was no longer gentle. She had never been a fan of Beth's, and resented the soft spot my mother seemed to have for her favorite niece. Aunt Julie could never understand why my mother coddled Beth as much as she did, and felt it turned out to be a disservice to Beth in the long run. "Have you been out here all day?" Julie asked. "Yes, just trying to figure things out. I answered some emails. One of the magazines I write for wants me to do an article about the true Jamaica, an insider's guide to living like a Jamaican. I'm trying to decide if I want to do it." Living like a Jamaican, eh? Would that be the privileged version or the impoverished reality they want? While Jamaica was famous around the world for its music, cuisine, and a laid-back lifestyle envied by most, we were equally known for the tribalism that warring political parties had created over the years, and the disturbing violence that came along with it. No matter which political party ruled Jamaica, their motto seemed to be, keep them poor, keep them hungry, keep them ignorant, and we keep our power. It seemed to be working well for the politicians, but not so well for the rest of the populace. "I haven't decided if I want to do it yet," I replied quietly. "If it gets you out of this apartment, I say go for it." Aunt Julie was never one for mincing words. I quietly looked down at my hands folded in my lap. I never knew how to respond to comments like that. It's not that I didn't want to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Isn't that what being lost was? "Well, I suggest you get ready for dinner too. Your mother will be back with Beth soon." Oh God, dinner with Beth. I knew that was something I did not want to do. Chapter 2. This chapter is Long Nights. It had finally arrived, the night I had been dreading since my life had turned upside down. I could not sleep, and I was in a panic. If I could not sleep, I could not dream, and if I could not dream, I could not be with Thomas. The one respite from this overwhelming grief was sleep, and now it was eluding me. I was trapped. If I left my bedroom, someone would hear me and run to keep me company, forcing me to talk. I looked around in desperation. There had to be a way out. A breath of fresh air. Yes, that would be perfect. Escape into the night air so that I could breathe. A door next to my bed opened out onto a small patio the size of a postage stamp. It could hold a chair and little else, but it was outside, and for some reason, that is where I needed to be now. I opened the door and stepped out, breathing deeply. The moon was high in the sky, and the stars shone brightly as only they could shine on my island, twinkling like diamonds against an ink-black sky. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I looked around and wondered why I had never come out here before. It was very quiet and peaceful, high above the activity of the street on the street below. I looked down and was surprised to see so many people out and about at this time of night. I focused on the people below and started to watch their lives unfold. The 4 women standing in front of the large gate were dressed very provocatively, and I finally realized they were prostitutes. 2 men standing off to the side seemed to be their security guards, and the men coming and going were their customers. I had never seen this kind of real-life drama before and was quite fascinated. The men came and went, but the women always came back, handing something to the bodyguards upon their return. It took me a few minutes to figure out that it was money they were handing over. It dawned on me that they were not bodyguards, but pimps. It was an interesting insight into human nature. The women talked, joked, and smiled among themselves, but you could see their change in their demeanor when their customers arrived. The relaxed chatter ended, and they were all business while trying to entice the men to hire them. The pimps were all business all the time, overseeing the women, always within menacing earshot, as prices were negotiated, and giving discreet nods to the women when an agreement was satisfactory to them. A couple of times I saw them step in to run someone off who was not a customer, but one of the many beggars hanging around trying to get a much-needed handout. You could tell the pimps were violent men, and I wondered what happened to the women if they tried to defy them in any way. I settled in to watch, and before I knew it, the sun was coming up. Watching had been my nightly ritual for nearly a week now. As sleep eluded me and I became more anxious, I would slip out onto the tiny balcony and watch the show below. I had given the women names. The smallest one, and I assume the youngest, I had named Tiny. She was about 5 feet 2 and looked young. I couldn't guess how old she was under all that makeup. Then there was the mother, who seemed to me to be the oldest and more experienced of the group. She also appeared to be the leader and stepped in when negotiations were not going well. Finally, you had Precious and Dancer. Precious always seemed to be smiling, happy and jovial. I wished I could see her eyes to see if they matched her smile. Dancer, well, her name was obvious. She never stopped dancing, and she seemed to be most popular with the customers. The pimps I named Frick and Frack. Frack was more vivacious than Frick, and I'd watched him slap the girls around a couple of times, except for Mother. Neither of them seemed to mess with Mother. I watched and waited anxiously for her to step in and stop Frack's attack on the girls, which she did every time. Something is fascinating about watching human degradation. My upbringing had conditioned me to find this nightly soap opera abhorrent, but I found it intriguing. More and more I found myself curious about who these people were. All my life had been taught to stay away from people like these. They were the sad souls who lived in the shadows, not in the bright Jamaican sun. What was the Jamaican saying? Cockroach don't business in a foul fight. The injustices that these women faced, the hardship, just watching them fight and scrape for every scrap gnawed at my sensibilities, but common sense warned me that they probably would not appreciate my opinion of their lives. What would I say? I've been watching you for the last week and your life sucks? How bad is it that you have to sell yourself for money? I didn't think they would appreciate those observations and questions. More importantly, I didn't think they would appreciate my pity. I resented everyone who approached me with pity instead of understanding. Why would they be any different? Of course, this was all rational for what I was feeling, fear of these people who might think it best to rob me, try to take advantage of me in some way, or even kill me. If I was completely honest with myself, it was fear that kept me away, nothing more than that. And that's the end of chapter 2, guys. I just think Lynda writes very, very well. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. I will come with more of this story, so don't worry, it's not stopping here. And again, you can get her books on Amazon or major bookstores online. And if you enjoy reading these, listening to them rather, please subscribe and hit the notifications and share with your friends and family. And as I've been visiting home and haven't been here in a very long time, I've taken a lot of footage, and I'm going to do a lot more footage. You want to come over and be in it? I found a young friend here, and I'm going to let you meet him. What's your name?
Liam.
Liam?
Yes.
There's Liam.
My name is Liam.
His name is Liam.
And I am a friend of Jamaica.
Oh.
And I like Jamaica. And I saw new things that are these boats, and they are really cool. And I live in Jamaica, and I was born in St. Anne.
Come right up and let them see you, Liam. I've just made a new friend, guys, and here you have it. He lives right here, right? And are you going to school?
Yes, I'm going to school.
What school do you go to?
I go to FI Prep.
FI Prep. All right.
Is this really actually a video?
Actually a video.
So I could be on TV?
You can be on TV.
Oh.
Exactly. Okay? And I'm so glad that you came up. You just came at the perfect time. So thank you for joining me.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you. Have a wonderful day. I just love this country so much. That was the best thing ever. I'm so glad he popped by and met you guys, and I hope you enjoyed meeting him as much as I did. So yeah, like, subscribe, enjoy the videos, and most of all, you know that I like to hear your comments, right? So one love, guys. See you on the next video.